So that forbidden thing comes up. And to sort of highlight this, Jack mentioned in his talk, I.M. Lewis's thing with ecstatic religion, that in the trance situation, women get away with antisocial behavior. They're not responsible. It's the spirits. And he interprets it as an oblique aggressive strategy. I think it's this dangerous feminine realm as opposed to an aggressive strategy. It seems aggressive to the society because it's outside the narrowly constrained masculine. Or as Jack Nicholson in As Good as It Gets, a film recently comes out, says, a fan asks him, how do you write women so well? And he says, I think of man and I take away reason and accountability. Now, this was a pithy sort of throwaway comment, but I think this highlights this idea. It's this, the feminine is what's outside of man's cultural thing, the unexpected, the outside. But this doesn't leave women powerless. Menstrual taboos around the world show this. The discourse around it, they go to a menstrual hub and you sit around. But if you upset this woman, you can die. You know, it's sort of, well, they're powerful, but we're afraid. The Munduruku in the Amazon have these trumpets. They're called trumpets. I think they're more like didgeridoos. They're hollowed out wood things. And the women aren't even allowed to see them. They stay in the men's hut. When the men come out to play them for ceremonies, the women have to go hide their faces. This is because the women had them first. And when the women had them, the men did everything. They hunted, they prepared food, the women could demand sex whenever they wanted, all these types of things. The men stole them in a revolution, and they have them, and they do all this stuff, except for because women can't hunt, they still hunt, so they don't get away with doing nothing. But they're chronically afraid, terrified, that women will get these trumpets again and rise to social ascendancy. Also in these traditional societies, postmenopausal women become men, honorarily men, but more than men because they've been women. And so they have that broader context to draw upon. And so this is that realm of transcendent power from the feminine that scares the masculine. Now, shifting gears a little bit, Clifford Geertz talks about as religion as a form or a way to set up moods and motivations appropriately defined by culture. And it makes you hide the other aspects. So a Javanese will be contemplative, but they'll hide their red, aggressive side, and they'll shove that down into the shadow. Whereas a Plains Indian in the US will bring up that power and aggression and be a warrior, and the contemplative, mellow side will be shoved into the shadow. And so that these outside ideas from this cultural model get repressed. And Anne Shulgin and Neil Goldsmith, both psychiatrists who have worked with shadow work, talk about the shadow as socially repressed material. Shulgin specifically talks about how in an American military family, there's the disdain for the womanly specific. Oh, you're being such a girl, you're never going to be a soldier. And as I noted, there is a point at which women, the feminine, can move into the masculine, but it's not quite so easy the other way. And we have models for that, tomboys, or figures like Margaret Thatcher, who were more masculine than masculine, right? The Iron Lady was really tough, had to be accepted in the role, in a masculine role. Now, my idea here is the feminine becomes very hard to define as a archetypical category because it shifts and it moves, because it's actually what's not defined. The masculine is defined as culture, the stuff we build up and have. And so the feminine is the realm of human experience that we accept, sort of, but that is mostly repressed by the gatekeepers of culture, the masculine. So in ways, I think of the feminine as sort of the shallows of the shadow, or a sub-shadow realm. It's this powerful stuff just outside of the rule set. Now, this can be handled, fantastic, there we go, Odysseus. and the sirens. This is a great myth that displays it to me. You've got this boat of men, right? And you've got the wild women in the sea, and they're dangerous, right? He listens to him, he gets caught up in it, and he will be torn to shreds. But he invented the first roller coaster by tying himself to this mast. He's made the feminine safe. And the other guy's done the same with earplugs, but they don't get to hear the song. So he's turned it into a thrill ride. And you've got this relationship with the feminine and masculine coming up from very ancient texts and scripts. But so this is an idea of the unpredictable that can be made predictable through cultural control, through the masculine. Now, Benny Shannon, who researched the phenomenology of ayahuasca experience quite extensively, noted that you've got all this feminine stuff coming up in men, but in women, you actually get this interplay between the masculine and the feminine in their motifs. Because they're already down here. They're already a minority subcategory, a repressed part. And so that interplay becomes very obvious and salient. So, through all of this, I think when we're taking these psychedelics, we experience the feminine as our first fleeting steps into the shadow. And the shadow is where all the big stuff's happening. So if the feminine is a universal archetype, then what is feminine? And so what I'm really doing here, here's the reading section, is destabilize our idea of what the feminine is. When we hear all these people talking about psychedelics and feminine spirits, we naturally envision our own cultural model of femininity. And it's inevitable until you start looking at other models of femininity. The concept of the feminine itself may be universal, but it's a structural universal, a vessel in which we drop culturally specific ideas. And the feminine is unpredictable, dangerous, and erotic because it is the manifestation of what we culturally downplay. Like the Victorians, ankles were a hell of a lot more sexy to Victorians than they are to us. And it titillates while it destroys, but what it's titillating and destroying is merely the concept of the masculine or culture realm of control. The feminine is the safe end of the shadow. Like Odysseus, through culture, we attempt to turn it into a thrill ride through the psychedelic experience and our manifestations of that. However, in the full flowering of the psychedelic experience, the feminine is revealed to be a universal aspect of us all. The danger is indeed ourselves. And in this context, the feminine acts as a critique of society itself. And this is another aspect of the psychedelic experience. You see the rules of society to be arbitrary, and you can start playing with these things. It shows what we value through the stark relief of presenting what it is we dismiss. The psychedelic feminine is the first step into the shadow from which the arbitrary boundaries of culture can be perceived and normality and rationality redefined. It is perhaps here where the daimon finally gets a chance to speak. So thank you guys very much.